My name is Danielle Goshen, and I'm the Policy Specialist / Counsel for National Wildlife Federation's Texas Coast and Water program here in Texas. I appreciate the opportunity to provide testimony to you all today on the implementation of SB 1160 and ways in which the state can support a coastal barrier system. The Gulf Coast Protection District was created last year during the 87th Texas Legislature. Composed of 5 counties, the purpose of this district is to be the local or non-federal cost share or non-federal sponsor for the Army Corps' Coastal Texas Study for the Upper Texas Coast. According to the latest estimate, the Coastal Texas Study will cost taxpayers $31 billion, a number that continues to rise each time it's evaluated. As a project seeking federal funds, the GCPD will be tasked with obtaining 35% of the total project cost for the features located in the Upper Texas Coast, estimated at over $26 billion before the most recent cost estimates were provided. David Berry, the Harris County administrator, said that Harris County alone would have to cover $8.3 billion for this project. As Colonel Blackman noted, if constructed, this would be the largest Army Corps project to date. While comparisons are made to gate structures located in the Netherlands and Russia, the size, location, and geography of the Bolivar Road gate system, the largest and most complex component of the Army Corps study, are significantly different than the European examples. As opposed to other examples, the $16 billion Bolivar Road's gate system would be located at the mouth of a large gulf system, would bridge 2 miles between Bolivar Peninsula and Galveston Island, and would have vastly different tie-in structures, and lastly would be located in a very active hurricane region. However, despite $200 million and over 6 years of study, serious concerns remain about the feasibility of the Army Corps' plan, its efficacy, and whether Texans can or should wait 2 decades for protection. These concerns can be broken down into 3 main categories. First, despite the astronomical cost, the protection provided by the Army Corps' plan is narrow and is not a silver bullet for the region. Counter to some incorrect claims from supporters of this project, this $31 billion investment will not protect the Houston area from a Hurricane Harvey-like event. Instead, the Army Corps specifically limited this project scope to reducing impacts due to storm surge, and does not protect against high winds or rainfall-induced flooding, which are both very commonly associated with storms in the region. Second, there are valid concerns about the protection of the Army Corps' plan, about the level of protection that the Army Corps' plan would provide, especially given continued impacts due to climate change. For example, the current plan is designed to protect against the so-called 100-year storm. However, in determining the return period, the Army Corps used its 2013 intermediate sea level rise scenario. This matches with NOAA's 2017 intermediate to low scenario, however. Latest research indicates that the intermediate to intermediate high scenarios are more probable and are therefore recommended by NOAA to be used for planning. Failing to use recommended climate projections can result in a higher return period than what is being planned for, and will reduce the benefit to cost ratio used to determine whether this project should be pursued. Third, we still do not have sufficient understanding of the project impacts on the local environment. A main reason for this is that the first draft feasibility report released in 2018 received numerous critical reviews during the independent external peer review process. Under this review, the draft plan was likened to rise only to a reconnaissance-level investigation rather than a feasibility study. After this analysis, the Army Corps switched to procedures to undergo a tiered NEPA review. This change delayed the completion of the environmental impact statements, which play an integral role in federal projects, as they ensure that significant environmental impacts and reasonable alternatives are fully considered in connection with the project prior to any decision-making. Delaying the completion of the EISs means that the Army Corps has selected their preferred alternative and is seeking construction authorization and federal funding before fully understanding environmental impacts from the project. To date, in fact, none of the measures in the Upper Texas Coast have completed their NEPA assessments. Therefore, when even the Coastal Texas Study is approved for construction, if it is, under this year's WRDA, years of study will be needed to be completed to understand project impacts before project measures in the Upper Texas Coast are actually actionable, whether or not they can be constructed. Some major questions that linger regarding project impacts include: how will the Coastal Texas Study avoid induced flooding, not only in the Channelview neighborhood on Galveston Island, which is left out of the ring barrier system, but also up and down the coast, including at San Luis Pass, which is just outside of the project footprint? How will the Bolivar Road gate system impact adult fish and shellfish, and how will this impact local economies along our coast? During storm scenarios, how will the geomorphology, salinity, and hydrologic regimes of San Luis Pass and West Bay be altered? And what will the effects be during gate malfunctioning? And how will the Galveston Bay rain system handle rainfall when the pump systems are only designed to handle a 25-year rainfall event? Because of these concerns and numerous others, it is so important that the GCPD has public engagement at the top of mind. When the GCPD initially convened, it did not seem like public engagement or education was a top priority, providing only in-person meetings for the 5-county district. Our organization and others repeatedly asked for a virtual option and for better notice of meetings, and it wasn't until the media told this story that the GCPD took action. Recently, however, the GCPD has made strides in making its meetings more accessible to the public, and we commend them for doing so. While the district continues to see issues with its hybrid virtual/in-person meetings, we are hopeful that these issues will be resolved shortly, and hope to see more participation from the general public and not just industry consultants and other interested parties due to this. Additionally, the GCPD has reached out to numerous nonprofit entities in order to engage with stakeholders, and that will be occurring soon. We are encouraged by these improvements and hope to see the district improve public engagement. The reason that the GCPD's outreach efforts are so important is that as the entity tasked with raising the 35% local cost share, likely from taxpayers in this 5-county district, it is essential that the GCPD informs those residents and potential voters of the best available information about the project so that they can have a clear understanding about its impacts and the protection that the coastal barrier will and will not provide. Additional ways the GCPD can help improve public participation and increase public education in its meetings include consistently post meeting recordings on their website or YouTube channel in an easy-to-find location, provide opportunities for virtual public comments during the monthly public meetings, provide translation services when requested if they are not already, and in addition to the open houses, hold Q&A sessions tailored to each county in the district in order to help inform the public about what protection the project will provide in their areas. In terms of the coastal barrier system, National Wildlife Federation feels strongly that the Army Corps' project is not the silver bullet that it is made out to be. It is a project aimed at mitigating storm surge and storm surge only. Until adequate environmental impact statements are completed and provide sufficient evidence that project benefits will outweigh its costs, both economic and ecological, we feel that the state should focus more on tailored solutions that using a combination of green and gray approaches, as well as non-structural solutions. These approaches can provide a more holistic and resilient approach to mitigation by protecting communities faster, cheaper, and can even provide multiple benefits to the region. First, multiple non-structural solutions could play a major role in protecting communities in the upper Texas coast. While the Army Corps' plan includes some non-structural components, they are not a main feature, likely due to a narrowing of project objectives to storm surge reduction. Investing heavily in elevating homes, floodproofing, and hardening structures can protect homes not only from coastal storm surge, but also from wind and rain. According to FEMA, coastal building codes that require these specifications helped residents on Bolivar Peninsula during Hurricane Ike, whose homes were built to code, stating that building elevation may have been the most important safety factor. Giving counties in Texas the authority to adopt enforceable building codes is essential to protecting our coastal communities. Other important features identified by FEMA include setting structures back from the coast, fortifying structures with sturdy materials, and equipping homes with a storm-resistant roof. It is also worth noting that the Army Corps' feasibility report estimated that the overall cost of managed retreat or managed realignment, a coastal management strategy that allows the shoreline to move inland instead of attempting to hold the line with structural engineering for all structures that would be impacted by the 100-year storm under current conditions, would be over $30 billion. Not a far-fetched concept considering the small price tag for the current proposal. Second, since the Army Corps' plan is being marketed as a way to protect national security due to the location of the nation's largest petrochemical complex located along the Houston Ship Channel, we need to focus on identifying industrial facilities that pose significant risk to communities, enforcing existing facility standards, and requiring additional protection where necessary. Lastly, we need to properly consider the protective value of nature and invest in resilient natural and nature-based solutions. These solutions include construction of living shorelines, dune and wetland restoration, and the preservation and rehabilitation of oyster reefs. Natural nature-based features can often be used in conjunction with levees and other structural investments in order to both increase efficacy and the lifespan of costly projects. This holistic approach that combines green, gray, and non-structural solutions can provide communities with significant protection on a much shorter timeline than the Army Corps' proposed project, while also reducing environmental impacts and residual risks such as induced flooding. We therefore encourage the state to think beyond the single storm surge project proposed by the Army Corps and to take a more holistic approach to protecting the Texas coast for our communities, our economy, our way of life, our rich diversity of fish, wildlife, and coastal resources. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today, and I'm glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Goshen.